Hello everyone, welcome to my podcast, also my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be discussing Proverbs chapter 22 and chapter 23. And I title this first part, Giving and Receiving Mercy and Blessings. In chapter 22 verse 1 states, a good name is to be chosen rather than great riches, loving favor rather than silver and gold. According to the NKJV Study Bible, God makes both the rich and the poor. Those who favor the rich over the poor are considered an insult to the Creator. This verse also speaks on the fact that a person's reputation is more favorable than possessions of wealth. Someone's damaged reputation will not be repaired even with tons of money. Once there is a rumor or incident linking them to the person, especially how social media runs, it will affect the person throughout their lives, no matter how wealthy. In fact, the person loses credibility or admirers. This happens a lot with young people who create inappropriate videos, drunken videos, or doing other foolish things. It stays in the World Wide Web forever, and it can affect future employment and other decisions. On another note, in Proverbs 14:31 states, he who oppresses the poor reproaches his maker, but he who honors him has mercy on the needy. In James 2 verse 5 states, listen, my beloved brethren, has God not chosen the poor of this world to be rich in favor and heirs of the kingdom, which he promised to those who love him? But you dishonor the poor man. Do not the rich oppress you and drag you into the courts? Do they not blaspheme the noble by which you are called? This verse is actually urging all believers not to show partiality by favoring someone who is wealthy over a poor person. That in doing so, we are not demonstrating our Christian brotherly love. Many individuals will choose to give honor to a wealthy person and totally ignore the poor person, even if the person is right next to the rich person. In fact, they will go as far as to remove the poor person from the area. If you follow God's law, you will be merciful to others and not judge based on people's appearances, wealth status, or popularity. People are people no matter what, even if they are rich or even if they are poor. That is why a believer must treat the persons at the grocery store, restaurant, driver, or anyone else for that matter in the same manner you would like to be treated. You will learn a lot of a person by observing how they treat people with this type of jobs, because some people act as if they are beneath them. Always value and respect others, no matter where they come from, how they look, and what they are wearing. The clothes do not make a person, but the heart does. In chapter 22, verse 9, he who has a generous eye will be blessed, for he gives of his bread to the poor. This verse emphasizes on the fact that we must place the need of others before ours, as God instructs us to reach out and help the neediest and most vulnerable people. For example, this Thanksgiving week, there are a lot of individuals in need who need an extra handout to help them with their Thanksgiving meal. God encourages us to seek out places where we can donate food, money, or our time. On the other hand, in verse 16, he who oppresses the poor to increase his riches, and he who gives to the rich will surely come to poverty. According to the NKJV Study Bible, this is one of the last proverbs of Solomon in his collection, and he deals with social justice. Ultimately, all humans' affairs are in God's hands, even though at times the wicked prosper. God made both the rich and the poor, and he will justly determine their destinies. In verse 22 states, do not rob the poor because he is poor, nor oppress the afflicted at the gate. God demands fairness within government, schools, work environment, churches, city, and state. In our society, the rich runs everything from school system, prison system, political system, to our economic system, etc., etc. The decisions that are made by all of these systems affect the poor drastically, as it is done to have power over the lower class status, which is considered the poor to be the poor. Because if they don't oppress the poor will stand up in power. If they oppress the poor, then their money grows through economic oppression. We can also relate this verse in the spiritual sense, as individual can carry generational curse of poverty and unconsciously believe that they must pass it on to the next generation. That is not the case when God comes to break all the stronghold of generational sins, and poverty is also a stronghold attached to it. You must pray for deliverance from it. The next paragraph, we're going to be speaking about humility versus arrogance. Chapter 22, verse 4. By humility and fear of the Lord are riches and honor and life. Proverbs 21:21. He who follows righteousness and mercy finds life, righteousness and honor. This verse is speaking about the haughty and the proud of character. What is being a haughty? The Greek word for haughty is rephanos. This means, according to the Vine Expository Dictionary, showing oneself above others, evil sense of arrogance, and being proud. We need to be careful of how we perceive ourselves and how we perceive others. We find in the Bible that the Pharisees exalted themselves over others and bragged about their deeds or religiosity. They rejected people who they felt were beneath them. God does not value haughtiness or arrogance or pride. In Luke 18, verse 11, provides an example of true humbleness in the sight of God. Also, he spoke this parable to some who trusted themselves that they were righteous and despised others. Two men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. The Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself, God, I thank you that I am not like other men, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even as this tax collector. I fast twice a week, I give tithes of all that I possess, and the tax collector, standing far off, will not so much as raise his eyes to the heaven, but beat his breast, saying, God, merciful to me, a sinner. Tell you this man went down to be justified rather than the other. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted. This can also be related to situations that are happening now through social media, in person, in churches, and other venues. We have some individuals acting in haughtiness, create an agenda, humiliate other believers by bringing all of their past out to discredit them publicly. God's not pleased with this. We must first look at the speck of our own eyes before we start judging others. This is not the way to get notoriety, and it is considered haughtiness. I understand that God is exposing some believers who preach a word who are haughty in their eyes, as they have been given in the spirit of greed, haughtiness, avarice, and stronghold. It's totally different. What God is correcting is the tit for tat amongst believers, instead of concentrating on preaching sin, repentance, and deliverance. There, I said it, and if anyone gets offended, please take it up with God. I am just a messenger. Requires a humble spirit to be given and merciful to others, just as he has been to you. In Micah 6, verse 8, he has shown you, O man, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you but to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God?